Hey there, and welcome back to my Tricycle Life. Today's video is gonna be, so what if you had your bike in storage for the last winter, and today we have some good weather, and we want to ride a bike, and get some exercise, because it's a nice sunny day, we might as well take advantage of that, and perhaps it's a day off, too. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a bike out from storage, and we're gonna look it over, and I'm gonna show you how the bike should run, how it should be adjusted. But we're not gonna look at the bike as a whole. We're gonna look at the bike as each visual part it has, and so we can put all of our attention on one thing at a time, so the bike doesn't become overwhelming to look at, or to even, where do I start, So today's video we're going to go and look into the drive system and the different adjustments the drive system has, and what we can do to make sure everything's adjusted right, and basically, so when we get out there to ride it, we know that, for the most part, it should give us our first ride of the season, really well, and we'll have a good time doing it. So, welcome back, and let's get to it.
Pull up, headshot, sit down, stand up.
Today we're gonna look at the wheel debater and the wheel cassette, which means the wheel gears, and I'm gonna try to go through the different adjustment points that a wheel debater has, and also different things like the debater hanger. It's this piece right here. Some bikes, this piece is part of the frame, but when you have a more expensive bike that manufacturer makes the debater hanger separately, and that is mainly for a design feature, that if something happens to if something hits the derailleur, then this part is like a crash zone. Like in a car, cars have like these crash zones that they take the brunt of the hit. That's what this derailleur hanger, its job is to do. Its basic job is to either bend with the force of the hit or break, and that's okay because you can always replace the derailleur hanger. You can just go to your local bike shop, or even if you know how to look it up online, you can look it up on the manufacturer of the bike, or even Amazon or eBay maybe sometimes, and that would depend on you, on your confidence of if you can find it online or not. The best way to do that is to if you say this bike is a Trek, and it's a Trek 4500, so you look up the name Trek, and then whatever the bike was called, or number, the 4500, maybe the 4500 XL, or whatever lettering and name you find on the frame, that might help you. So next would be, you have your derailleur on the derailleur hanger, and you have a couple of different adjustments. Most of these adjustments you don't generally have to worry about, such as there's a adjustment screw right here that places the dewaler like in different positions like this, because it needs placement, and the dewaler needs to be in a certain place for the chain to switch gears efficiently. But the thing is, here's the thing to remember is these are usually set at the bike shop or even at the factory. So unless the bike took a hit and you had to replace the dewaler hanger, you generally don't need to touch the screw right here. So I mean, something to know. I mean, and there's these two screws here. What these two screws do is, like this upper screw right here is generally for the last gear you have. So the gear that's closest to the frame on the inside. So what it does is when you set it, it sets the derailleur so it won't go too far towards the frame and push. If it does that, it'll push the chain in between the frame and the cassette or the gears. So you obviously don't want that, because if that does that when you ride, that could seriously damage your frame, especially if it's aluminum, because at that point, if the chain keeps moving in between that space, it's basically acting as like a saw blade. It really do some damage to your frame, and you obviously don't want that. So, like I said, the screw is generally for your last gear, and then the bomb screw right here is for the same concept but for your first gear, and it's up here. And again, you set that to where the derailleur does not go and push the chain in between your spokes and your first gear. So usually, again, that is usually adjusted when you buy the bike, and unless something catastrophic happens, you generally don't need to worry about the screws. But again, they are good. It's good to know what they do, because a lot of people that I do repairs for, they kind of not by not knowing, they kind of mess with their screws, and they don't tell you that they try to fix it themselves, and they make the situation worse really quick, and you really don't want that. You really don't want, to make that worse for yourself or for the person that has to fix it. So again, these screws are for to adjust the derailleur, not to go too far this way or too far into towards the spokes, depending on what gear. Again, generally the top screw controls the last gear of your cassette, and the bottom one usually is the stopper for the first gear. So again, that way the chain doesn't get pushed into the space in between your spokes and the gear here. So again, and you can usually tell, especially if you gotten this your bike secondhand, you can generally tell what's going on with it, because there might be some scorn or some some metal missing from the spokes. That would definitely tell you that these adjustment screws weren't adjusted right, and that they need to be adjusted. So today we're gonna be focusing on this belt adjuster where the cable goes into, because assuming that these screws are set right, you generally don't have to worry about these two screws. So what you use to adjust the gears in between the first gear, the first gear and the last gear is this. Why would you need to adjust that? So, say you, before you put your bike away, you had your bike in the shop to replace your cables and housing, and that's what these are. So this is your housing, and basically is a guide for your cable. And I guess you can think of your cable and housing as in between your rear and your shifter at the handlebars. It's like a telephone wire. So the way that your shifter is connected by the cable and housing to your rear derailleur or your front derailleur, and how it tells you what to do is is your cable and housing, and that acts as like I said, a telephone wire that allows input from your shifter to your derailleurs. And so we're gonna go through and see if they're adjusted, if they're basically talking to each other right, and why wouldn't it be? So, assuming, like I said, that these are new before you put the bike away, in time the cable is gonna stretch, and that is normal, especially with brand new cables and housing. The housing isn't gonna stretch, but mainly the cable is, and that is the more important thing to understand. So, another thing is, is your chain dirty, or your jockey wheels? That's what these are, or the chain, the chain wheels, some people call them. But these are jockey wheels. They just pretty much guide the chain along like a track around your gears. So, first of all, we took this bike out of storage. We have it on. I have mine on a professional grade bike stand, but not everybody's gonna have one. I just have one because I work on bikes a lot, and I find them that it's really useful to have for me. So we're gonna take a look at the condition of our bike. So first of all, I noticed that the chain is pretty dry and a little bit sticky for say, because it has like dirt and grime on it, and that's okay. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna do some light cleaning on our chain and get it ready for grease. So you can use for this, you can use, like I use worn out socks, because I can throw them away after so many times I use them, or I can just take them and get them cleaned. So I generally use a cleaner, Simple Green, and I find most bike shops use this because it does do the job well. Plus, it's not harsh that it's gonna hurt the parts of the bike, meaning not like the paint. You're generally not gonna like take the paint off. It's just enough to get the grease off the parts that you need off the bike. So I'm going to spray the cleaner on the rag, or in my case, the worn out sock. And mainly you have this in one hand, and what you do is you place the sock or the rag with cleaner like this, and you can with the other hand you can spin the crank backwards so that you can run the chain in between your rag with the cleaner. In my case, I can only use one hand, so I kind of try to lightly put pressure on the chain, enough to where the cleaner with the rag is against the chain, but not enough to make the chain move. And when I'm ready to change, when I'm ready to move the chain, I just do this, so I get more of the rest of the chain. So, why don't we spray it on the chain directly? Well, if you notice, on your chain has these little rollers. I don't know exactly what the chain manufacturer calls them, but they're kind of like rollers. They roll with in between the teeth of the sprocket and your jockey wheels. But the thing is, the manufacturer puts when they put your chain together, they put their own special type of oil in between these parts to keep them moving and flexible. So you don't want to put your chain in lacquer or like in a bucket of grease remover or anything like that, because at that point your chain's no good, because what you're doing is you're taking every bit of grease off of it, and that you need a certain amount of grease in your chain to protect it. If it doesn't have that protection, then you can never put enough oil on after the fact, because you'll never get into the pieces that you can't see, in between the rollers, and basically it basically rusts. So what we're trying to focus on is trying to clean the dirt and grime off the outside, and we can also get your jockey wheels and like that. Again, you can turn this manually while you're doing it. It will go faster. So you can also clean your crank as well. And if you really want, if your back gears are as dirty, you can clean them as well. And in a second, I'm going to show you that tool to get into your in between each gear that you have. So, once you are satisfied on how clean your chain is and your derailleur on your jockey wheels, you can also get dirt off on your derailleur as well. See, your derailleur has little pivot points that it needs to, obviously needs to move. So you want to really, if you can't get the most dirt off of your derailleur as well. The tool that I use to get the dirt out in between the cassettes is this tool. It's made by Pop Tools. And if you ever wanted to get one, it'll look like this. You can buy different manufacturers. You don't have to get tools just from Pop Tools, but I find that because Pop Tools, their main business is around bike parts, bike tools, and other accessories and things that you need to work on your bike with. So they're the basic number one brand that you would use, assuming that you have enough money for it. I mean, they're not ridiculous as in price, so they're easy to get. But some of the tools are they're more expensive than others because Pop Tools is used by most like bike shops. So these are the tools that these are the same tools that you see in bike shops. And usually a lot of bike shops do sell these tools on the side. So basically how you would use this is you would slide this in between each gear, and again you would turn your crank and hold it still and let the crank do the work for you. It's a little bit harder for me to do it because one hand, so I kind of have to do it my way, unfortunately. But I still get the job done. And each tool has an ID number. I would try to look this up for you and put the ID number in the video if you wanted to get this tool. So say at this point we got the grind out of in between your gears. Why would you do that? Because as you're riding it in the season of the summer, you will pick up your chain will pick up a lot of grime and dirt, and especially if you were going off-road, you pick up a lot of debris, and it kind of gets packed in between your gears, and after a while, after it gets so much in there, there won't be no more room for your chain to shift gears properly. So, clean if you get a habit cleaning your bike, longer, more efficient, your bike's to run. So, and another thing is, I've seen a lot of people wash their bikes, like with a hose, and generally, you don't need to do that. The bike can withstand some of the bike parts can withstand the hose water, but unless you really took your bike out, like mountain bike riding and made it just totally like really muddy, you generally don't want to hose it off. I mean, if it's to the point where it's caked on mud, yeah. But here's the thing: is if you have a bike that is intermediate, like an entry level bike, the parts quality might not be so much that, for example, if you have an entry level bike, you're gonna have a lot of parts on the bike that requires that isn't steel parts like your. Oh hi, I regret to interrupt this video with the announcement because I did another 40+ minute video. I have to make this a series of 2 videos. So hang on tight. Here comes another series of videos of the same topic. So this is the part 1 of part 2. So enjoy. Bye for now.